So right now what I have done was upload all my documents to TikTok that pertain to my case, pertain to my innocence, and I want you, the public, to review it, to see what I've been going through, to see how much I've suffered. This part is not the easy part, because now you guys have to digest what they've done to me and my family. I've had 3 separate trials, and all 3 of them were frauded. The one in 1994 was frauded. Let me take that one back. That was a trial that was supposed to happen, and it did not happen. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through that trial process and show you what happened. So at that time, in 1994, I was charged with sexual battery. 1 count of sexual battery. Okay? Me, my victim, and my wife, we drove to the police station, and I admitted to assaulting her, which a rape never happened, but of course they went ahead and gave me the rape charge to make sure that she was safe, which I totally understand that. Me being a father, I understand that. When they found out that I didn't commit the crime, when they found out that there was no harm to her, okay, they offered me 5 years probation. In 30 days, on my hearing, on the 30th day, I went and accepted the probation of 5 years. Then they went ahead and gave me another offer. They told me that the offer of me going home on the 30th day was being retracted, and that they were going to give me a better offer. The better offer was to wait for the 37 days and then go home with no conviction. Reason being is because I've never had a criminal history in my life, and I didn't commit the crime that they said I did. So I went back to my cell and I spoke to my mother, and I told her that I would be going home the following week, and she was so ecstatic and so happy. And she asked me how I knew this, and I told her, well, Mom, the judge told me, the public defender told me, and then she asked, how did they know this? And I said, well, the reason why they know this is because, they're the ones that run the courts, and that's basically it. And then she just kept on, my mother just kept on asking me, and then since I observed something in court, I thought I would tell my mom. When I observed in court, we went to court together. It was me, my public defender, and my judge only. 3 people in the whole courtroom. Nobody else was there. No bailiff, no nothing. So we had this private meeting, and I was supposed to go home a week later with no charges. The charges were going to be dropped. So I told my mom that I observed the judge and my public defender being male and my judge being female. I observed them having relations, so to say, that they were hating on each other and talking nice to each other and telling them each other, you have a beautiful body, and I love the way you look and everything, and this is what happened, what transpired. So when I went back to the cell, I told my mother this. They got in their feelings, and they went ahead and ruined my life for 31 years because they didn't like what I said to my mother. It's not like I went to Channel 6 News or I went on top of a podium and I told everybody in the whole world. No, I just told my mother over a phone, which was being recorded, which I did not know they were recording phones back in those days, 1994. So, okay. After all this, they denied me the going home with no charges, and they left me in the custody of the Department of Corrections, and they said that I would not be going home and we were going to trial. Okay, fast forward 8 months later, we're in June. I decided to go to trial. When I decided to go to trial, I get a new public defender. The new public defender tells me that they want me hung. They want to just ruin my life. And I told them, what for? What did I do wrong? I did everything right. You know what I'm saying? I turned myself into the police station with my wife and the victim. I didn't commit the crime that you guys are saying I committed, and it's all proven inside the documents of the case. Why are you guys doing this to me? I don't understand. And the guy told me, the public defender said, well, you shouldn't have said what you said over the phone. Okay, and I didn't know that that's the reason why they were ruining my life, but they did ruin my life, and they went ahead and sent me to prison for 3 years. Okay, now the charges that they gave me when I went to prison was rape, sexual battery, one count of kidnapping, and 2 counts of lewd lascivious. Those of you who don't know anything about charges and stuff like that, 1 count of rape is 25 years mandatory. There's no if, ands, or buts. If you committed that crime, you're gonna get 25 years mandatory. Okay? Now they just put in a new law about 2 years ago, saying that anybody who does commit a sexual assault, even if you don't commit the rape, that they can go ahead and give you the death penalty. Okay, I understand that as well because I'm a father. Before anything, I'm a father. I want everybody to understand this. Okay, I'm a loving father. I've always been good to my children. I've never been bad to any person, any child. This was an isolated incident where I wish not to discuss it because it has to do with my daughter and her situation where she suffered, and I was mad because some people were laughing at my daughter, and circumstances got out of away from me, and I did what I did, and I was wrong. No matter what, I was wrong. At the end of the day, I was wrong. Never did I veer away from the truth. Never did I veer away from going to the police station or hiding anything. And I've always been honest with everybody. Even if it hurts me, I had to be honest. That was my main concern. So they went ahead and took me to trial. When they took me to trial, those were the 3 charges. Okay, so like I was trying to explain, the sexual battery is 25 years to life. Okay, you don't come out of that. Okay, and that's what they gave me. Okay, they gave me first degree sexual battery. Okay, then they gave me kidnapping. Kidnapping is also sexual battery. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. Kidnapping is also 25 years to life. You don't come back from that. That's 50 years right there. Okay, the 2 L&Ls that they said I committed, which were a lie also, the 2 L&Ls, they went ahead and that's 15 years apiece. That's 80 years of sentence, of mandatory sentence. And they sentenced me to 3 years in prison. Why? Because I did not commit the crime. Why? Because they just wanted to go ahead and get their money they get from the government for having certain amount of charges. Okay, and I remember them telling me this. You know what I'm saying? This is how they make their money. They falsify charges on people so they can go ahead and get funding from the federal court, from the federal agencies that fund them, who fund the courts. So this is what they told me. This is what was happening back in 1994. So anyways, we went to trial. When we went to trial in 1994, June 1994, they asked me to pick a jury. So I looked at myself from the outside in, and I said to myself, why would I pick a jury? Have 7 people convict me for something that I didn't commit? Why would I have 7 people opinions of something that I didn't commit, and then they convicted me of something that I'm not guilty of? I said, you know what? I put the case on the judge's table. I said, you know what, Judge? If you think I committed this crime, I'll go ahead. What I had was a bench trial. I wanted a bench trial. There was a big fight. When I requested a bench trial, the state stood up, a female, and she cursed out my public defender, called him a fat piece of shit. Well, you put him up to this and that. So he called her a fucking bitch. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. This and that. The judge was slamming the mallet on the podium, saying order in the court, order in the court. Then they had a sidebar, and they talked about me and everything because I requested a bench trial. When you're innocent and you know you're telling the truth, please request a bench trial. Please, if you know you're innocent, then request a bench trial, okay? And the facts have to be in your favor, of course. If you don't have the facts in your favor, then you're gonna lose, okay? No matter what, they do whatever they want with you anyways, because they're corrupt anyways, okay? Not all courts are corrupt, okay? But one thing I can tell you, there is corruption in the courts, and until they fix that, we'll never see justice, and we'll never see true justice for what it really is. Okay, so now, in this happening, I went ahead and I told the courts, that I want a bench trial. The fight ensued. It was yelling and cursing everywhere, and the reason why this happened was because, at that nanosecond, at that nano moment, okay, something in my mind came from God, and it said, you don't need a jury to convict you. If they're going to convict you, let them convict you on basis of the facts, okay, and so that I went with what God showed me in my mind, in my heart. So that's why I requested a bench trial. So anyways, they told me that I had to go ahead and take a plea, which I didn't want to take a plea, okay? But they told me I had to take the plea, and they told me that if I don't take the plea, that they were going to ruin my life, that they were going to give me between 9 and 11 years of prison, and then they were going to give me 15 years of probation. Mind you, when I signed my plea, which I did sign a plea in 1994, I signed a plea for 5 years prison and 2.5 years probation. Okay, this is what I signed for. Okay, when I went to prison and came back out, I signed for the assault charge. I didn't sign for rape, kidnapping, and 2 counts of lewd and serious. I signed for the assault charge. So they went ahead and took the assault charge and changed it, because my public defender, when he seen what they were doing to me, he said, I vigorously, if you decide to go ahead and give this man these charges and give him this registration or this label of a sex offender when he doesn't qualify for it, if you decide to do this, I'm going to vigorously defend him to the end. And they changed their mind. They try to trick me. They try to change my documents, but they did it anyways. But they did it without my other attorney realizing it. They did it after the next day. They changed everything to the way they wanted to. Okay, so this is what I've been fighting with for 31 years. You know what I'm saying? So when I went to trial, when I wanted to go to trial, they wouldn't let me. They said, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then, so anyways, I was released in 1998 from the Department of Corrections. I did my little 3 years, and I said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna put this behind me because I want to go ahead and live my life, and I don't want to stir up trouble and everything else. But before we continue, I'm gonna go ahead and start a new video, okay? Because I don't want this to be a long, drawn-out video where you guys don't get to see the ending, okay? And see for what it really is, okay? I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know. They might take my life. I don't know what they want to do. It's up to them. All I'm just here to tell you is I'm innocent, and I need help, because they're just covering and hiding and doing whatever they want to do with the documents and my direct appeal and everything else, okay? So take care of yourself, and thank you very much, everybody, for, whoever is on my side. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My kids need you, and I need you. Thank you very much.